The country where the economy is bad and the system, the security is wrong, everything is bad about the country, one of the perceptions about the president of that country is that he is irresponsible. They just have the perception that the president is wrong, the president is irresponsible, that's why things are bad. A negative image about you in somebody's mind cannot be changed or cannot be proven otherwise except by a definite action towards reshaping that perception. Hello, family. Welcome to TRWE Podcast with Gospel Izik, a place where we talk about growth, where we talk about the gospel and the God factor in everything meaningful. This is not just a podcast. It is a place where worship meets wisdom, a place of alignment, a place of discovery, and a place of refining. And on today's episode, we are diving into a very sensitive topic, and I titled it Perception is Reality. This is a very important topic because a lot of times, a lot of the large audience of people in society struggle with the perception that people have about them. And in many of the cases, perception is not the totality of truth about certain people, but it is their reality. I'm saying that perception has the ability to make you a certain way in people's mind that you are not. Perception is flawed and can be flawed, but it is reality because this is how people has imagined you to be. Perception is reality. And I'm going to be on this episode diving into how that we can reshape perceptions, how that we can overcome perceptions, and how that we can make the wrong perceptions about us right perceptions. So stay tuned. You see, in many cases, how people perceive you is how your reality is being placed, is how your reality is being determined. Because you see, a negative image about you in somebody's mind cannot be changed or cannot be proven otherwise except by a definite action towards reshaping that perception. So you see, we cannot have the details or we cannot have the full picture of how a person perceives us. But these perceptions can have a negative effect on, number one, how we relate with people, how we are viewed in society, how we are, the image that we, in fact, it can even affect your building process with people, your building process with your company, how the society sees you, how people sees you. This is important. This podcast episode is very important because until perception is reshaped, it will give birth to a negative picture of an individual. And we're going to be considering three things in this episode. Number one, why perception matters. Number two, how to reshape perceptions. And number three, how to reshape people's perception about you through consistent character. Perception simply means how people relate to your action, your words, and the things that you do as a person. You see, if someone is constantly late to an appointment, the perception of people is that the person is irresponsible. If somebody is constantly lying, in the perception of people, it may be concluded that person is a liar and cannot be trusted. And these perceptions are bettered from a place of misunderstanding many times. Misunderstanding is one of the very strong betting place for perception. And perception, as much as it can be flawed, is very important. If you do not consider perception as a person, as a leader, as an individual, you will make the mistake of sending an image of something that you are not. Because when people have a certain perception about you in their minds, your actions are the proof to see whether the perception they have in their mind is true or is false. That's why the book of Proverbs chapter 22 verse 1 says, a good name is more to be purchased better than riches. So when I'm actively pursuing riches, I'm pursuing things, and I am not in pursuit of how people actually perceive me, it may be a problem. That's why PR is important, public relations. If you're a person that studied business or politics, you understand that PR is public relations. And this public relation has everything to do with the perception of people about you. For an instance, if you're in a country where the economy is bad and the system, the security is wrong, everything is bad about the country, one of the perceptions about the president of that country is that he is irresponsible. And many a times it could be wrong. There are many things involved with nation building, many things involved with the growth of an economy, but a lot of people would not pay attention to the details of what it takes. They just have the perception that the president is wrong, the president is irresponsible, that's why things are bad. And in many cases, it may be true. But as much as it is true, it is just a perception, because perceptions can be flawed. One of the greatest response to perception is consistency. If you want to reshape how people see you in a certain way, the most important way to do that is by consistency. Because you see, when you have been consistent in a wrong perception, it will be proven that that is actually your reality. For instance, you know that there are certain things that may probably make you come late for a meeting, but when you come late consistently, it will prove that you are actually irresponsible when it comes to coming early for anything. It's very true. Although people may not understand the reason why you might have gone there late or the reason why you might have been late to that meeting, they would only conclude about what they can see. Your action, your words, your resolution, your response towards the perception in their mind. So when they say, oh, you come late, and you begin to respond like, oh, I don't care about that. Oh, you don't. When you start using words like that, it is a proof that you are agreeing with the perception in their minds. So consistency can be the reason to facilitate the perception of people in your mind, or can be the reason why you can reshape that perception. For instance, if you come late all the time and this can relate to everything, when you come late for a meeting all the time, the way that you can reshape the perception of people to think you are irresponsible is when you begin to come early consistently. One of the very most strategic way that perception is grown is by patterns. When people notice a pattern about you, it creates perception. Patterns create perception. When you do something consistently over time, it can be proven that that perception is no longer a perception, but has become a reality. But here's the balance. You see, although perception many times is flawed and is inaccurate, because you may never know the full story. People don't go after the full story many a times, because there may never be an avenue to get the full story about the thing. There may never be an avenue to get the full story of how a matter is handled, or how it was handled. So people run with what they can see at the moment. People run with what they can hear at the moment. So many times perception is flawed and inaccurate. There are 4 ways that you can respond to perceptions that will give you access to reshape those perceptions. Number 1 is let your character speak over time. Because you see, one of the major ways that you can counter perception is through character. Your character is the most profound way to reshape a perception about you. When you have people perceiving you in certain ways, it is not in your jurisdiction to begin to argue, to explain many times about how that perception is wrong. Your character over time, through pattern, has a way of reshaping that perception about you. And you must consider that character does not happen in one moment. It's something that is built. Character is built. It is harnessed in the bid to reshape perception. Number 2, align your words with your action. Because you see, it is true that your character is good to help you to reshape perception, but your character must align with your words, and your words must align with your actions. Every time you say something that is contrary to what you are being perceived, that your action must follow. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your action must follow in order for your perception to be reshaped. Every time you say something, it must be backed up with action. Actions are the bedrock for the reshaping of perception. Number 3, which is very important, respond with wisdom and not with emotion. This is number 3. Respond with wisdom and not with emotions. Many a times we are tempted to want to speak out of emotions when we receive a negative perception about us. And this is true because we are humans. We are individuals. We have feelings. We have blood running in our system. So many a times when we hear things about us, we want to respond with a lot of emotions. I didn't do this. Oh, I'm not involved in this. Oh, I don't come late. Oh, I don't lie. Oh, I don't do this. We want to respond with emotion and not with wisdom. Wisdom connotes that you do not over-explain yourself, especially when the perception is wrong about you. The moment you begin to argue and over-explain without wisdom, you harness the perception, because people are not seeing your argument, they are seeing the perception they have about you in their mind displaying. So when you begin to argue, oh, this is not, when you begin to do that, it's an indication that probably this perception is your reality. So you must respond with wisdom and not with emotions. Number 4, build fruits more than you build arguments. Build fruits more than you build argument. This is a very important aspect when it relates to reshaping perception. Because you see, your fruit over time is the pattern to prove that the perception about you is not your reality. Many times when you receive a perception about you through what people say, silence is the best answer. Your building season is where the perception will change. Where you say, this is not me, and you don't care about what people are saying utterly, literally. You don't really put so much input about the perception of people about you. You just ensure that you grow to the extent that your fruits can defend the perception about you. The true perception about you can be defended by the fruits that are becoming the outcome of your life. For an instance, if people say that you come late to a meeting or a place and they find you irresponsible, your fruit over time by coming consistently early and probably getting an award for coming early would destroy the perception of people of how irresponsible you are. You understand what I'm saying? So your fruit is the proof that the perception they have about you is wrong. Because at the end of the day, people will not say, oh, maybe I misjudged him, maybe I misjudged her, maybe I didn't think, maybe it was not the right way to say this, maybe this is not who she really is. Because over time, your fruits have proven that the perception about you is wrong. So you must identify what are the perceptions about you, and you must also identify what are the fruits that can be a proof that these perceptions are wrong, and focus more on those things. Don't over-explain. Don't sound emotional when you explain it. Don't make it a big deal. Don't sound like you are desperate to change a perception. In fact, that's when you start to do that, it could be an indication that perception about you is actually the truth. Because when you want to over-explain, oh, I didn't do this, oh, I didn't do that, you want to explain to everybody. How many people do you want to explain? Because the perception about you is already negative. So if you try as much as possible to try to correct it, you will be in a lot of problems. You see, people don't respond to who they believe that you are in the true sense of it. People respond to you based on the perceptions in their mind. And this is very profound, because until you are able to prove otherwise, the perception about you will be what will be trending more than the reality of who you are. People don't always see the intentions behind the actions you take. People only see the perception they have about you in their mind through the actions that you take. So you must be very careful to not send a negative image about who you represent because of the certain ways that you want to respond to those perceptions. You cannot argue your way out of a perception about you. You can only push through to consistent character. Consistent character is going to be the counter effect for a perception that is negative about you. So you must be very, very careful when perceptions are being thrown at you, not to fight at it or respond to it with argument. Let your fruits be the proof that the perception about you is not your reality. And in today's episode, I'm sure that this has blessed you in a certain way, but I'm going to close with this. Every time a negative perception about you is said or is released, or you can literally see through the actions of people that they have a certain perception about you, don't be in a rush to try to try to prove otherwise. Now, remember this: perceptions may form quickly, but a right, consistent character at the long run will be the reason for the change of that perception, to the reshape of that perception. People may see you, people may imagine you wrongly, people may think about you in a certain way, but your actions will prove over time that the perception they have about you is wrong. And that's where your strength should lie. That's where your hope should lie. Your hope should lie in the consistency of your character. That's where your whole being should exist. You should exist in yourself so much so that you have a tough skin for the perceptions of others. But in as much as that is true, you must also be very careful to think about what other people think about you. It's very important, because those perceptions are the very gateways to the access you will have in life and in destiny. So in as much as you want to correct them, I have told you the 4 ways to correct them, but you must, through consistent character, establish yourself to the extent that your life will counter the perceptions and the opinions of men. And I hope this podcast has blessed you. I cannot wait to see you in the next episode. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at TRWE Podcast, and you can follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at Gospel Izik. And I will see you in the next podcast. God bless you.